Breaking tonight, Eastern Nebraska Human Services Agency holding a board meeting about Duet at this hour, a nonprofit that provides services to those with disabilities in Omaha. Duet says they have to lay off staff because they're in dire financial straits. Now, the circumstances around those troubles are unclear, but the board alluded to mishandling of funds by past leadership. Meeting is going on as we speak. We'll have the very latest at First Alert 6 at 10. Jade?
Yeah.